Yeah, yeah. Moo Fresh, May Moon My Yusef. I know y'all know this song. Like and share the video. We just getting started because you don't know it's a family party every Saturday. Family Wellness Saturdays. Yeah, no, we good. Let the music play. What's going on, family? Like and share the video and let the people know we're here, you know? Come on, let's celebrate. Moo Fresh, Moo Fresh. Maybachs. No. What's it? Yeah, let's go. We're going to turn it down in a minute, but thank you so much, Queen Yen, the DJ. She said we already royal. And that's what we're going to talk about today. The stewardship of our resources. Thank you so much. Hoodoo, your voodoo, I love that name. Yeah, man, spread the word, let them know. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. 3353 Washington Road, East Point, Georgia. Just a little theme music. We're gonna be doing some dipping into our story today and bring it full circle, you know. The only purpose of studying our story is to get tools to move forward in the present moment. Ashe? Yeah, this is Maymuna Yusef. I'm a speaker there. We're going to have her on this Enlighten Atlanta soon, you know. My sister, we've had her on the radio several times on WRFG. I know she's a fan of Queen Yen's ministry, and we're a fan of her music. It's just already natural. It's already done. Maymuna Yusef said we already royal. So thank you, Queen Yen. As we bring the music down, and as you can see, like clockwork, the OU Marketplace is live and kicking. Our family is here gathering, and we're here to have a good time today. This is, as I was getting ready to tell y'all, it's absolutely Resurrection Weekend. And it doesn't have to be something that is based on our celebration of a Roman agenda. It is something that is really, because really and truly the Roman agenda was brought to us based on a reality that is already existent. Does that make sense? No one in this world makes up anything that just don't exist. The people who have brought us the mass religion and a different, a really watered down version of spirituality, they didn't just do it out of a bubble. They looked at reality that exists amongst us in creation, and they twisted it for their thing. So here what we're going to do, we're going to bring it forward to our one, right? So land stewardship. I'm going to be doing some reading today because there's so much to talk about, and I wanted to make sure I stayed on point, you know, kept myself on point, and I wrote some notes. But just to begin, as the world is thinking about Yeshua the Christ, peace be upon him, known by many names, this weekend, whether it's Easter, you call it Resurrection Weekend, you know, in Islamic tradition, he's an honored prophet. Our brother Baba Fashima was here with us a few weeks ago, Babalao, in the Ifa tradition, and told us that this is the weekend he got dropped in the grove and came out on Sunday, right? This is tomorrow, one of the men that followed the prototype of Yeshua the Christ, Martin Luther King, Ibaye, was assassinated. You know, this is just one of those powerful times in creation, and we see it manifest in the earth. So let's talk about it. First of all, stewardship. Stewardship. What is stewardship? I want to go to the comments and get somebody in the comments to share with us what their understanding of stewardship is before I read the definition. Like I told y'all, we're going to be doing some reading today. What is stewardship? Anybody want to share? There's of course, there's Webster's definition, and then there's a more metaphysical, spiritual definition, which really carries the same energy, right? But stewardship, what is stewardship? We talk about stewardship all the time, and stewardship is something that we must talk about all the time until it becomes second nature, because that is one of our chief roles in this creation, to be stewards over our affairs. Somebody, Sugar Honey Nectar, said, take care of. Ashe, for sure. Take care of. Taking care of the land. Stewardship. Anybody else? What is stewardship? And so, stewards of the land are like shepherds of a flock. I'm going to repeat that. Stewards of the land are like shepherds of a flock. You think about the Christ, right? And I got this picture I'm going to show y'all in a little bit that really speaks to that. Stewards of the land are like shepherds of a flock. One more time. Just for, because repetition is the mother of knowledge, right? But what we want to correct on this time, in this energy of, we just had Good Friday, which symbolizes the placing of all the old on the cross, right? And it all goes through a whole process until the human spirit is redeemed again, brought to life again, just as we're seeing on the land. When you come to SHAMBA today, you'll see all kind of flowers everywhere, and these are representations of the resurrection, right? But I don't want y'all to think we having a religious service today. We're just using language which is universal language, and our whole point is agriculture is the first culture. So much of what we see in the holy books is a reflection of what they saw in creation and decided to, instead of trying to make up something completely from scratch, we're going to use the evident. We're going to use the evident. What's the word I want to use? The evident imagery, right? To further a point. So what we want to correct is this whole question about shepherds, right? So stewards of the land are like shepherds of a flock, but a lot of time when we hear the word shepherds and all that, based on our Western mentality that we've taught, that means domination. Leadership means domination in the West. Leadership means making sure that you just got your foot, your hand, or your foot on somebody's neck. But a shepherd, in the true sense, is a servant first and foremost. A shepherd in the true sense is one who takes care of. One who takes care of. I want to show y'all an image real quick and get back to that. This image, I know all y'all seen this image before. The one they call Yeshua the Christ. Alright? And you see that what is called the staff, or it's called the crook. The crook and flail is one of the Kemetic symbols, and it's the same symbol that you'll see right here with the pharaohs of Kemet, the pharaohs of Egypt. Alright? The crook and the flail. Right there, same symbol. Jesus the Christ, Yeshua the Christ, and the pharaohs of Egypt. Shepherds. Right? And a little bit of research will tell you that this symbol is a reminder that one of the most important functions of the shepherd, of the pharaoh, of the steward, is to protect the weak of the land. It's to defend the rights of the poor. One of the chief functions of the shepherds of the land is to defend the rights of the poor, the least of these. Like we just said, we can go all the way up to April 4th, 1968, And this is another version of it. You might even see this in some of the Greek fraternities, right? But this is all comedic imagery. This is all comedic energy, right? And we're not just sharing this because it's a symbol. So it's not just a symbol of a shepherd. Like, you know, there's a symbol. Symbols represent something. It's a very functional thing to say that, again, if we're good stewards of our territory, that means we're doing something to promote their eternity. So I'm going to read something real quick. One of the definitions of a steward is the job of stewardship is the job of supervising or taking care of something, such as an organization or property. And another definition, a biblical worldview of stewardship can be consciously defined as, and I quote, utilizing and managing all resources God provides for the glory of God and the betterment of God's creation. The central essence of the biblical worldview of stewardship is managing everything God brings into the believer's life in a manner that honors God and impacts eternity. Let me repeat that. In a manner that honors God and impacts eternity. So just as we saw that picture of Yeshua the Christ with the symbol of the shepherd, and know that now we overstand if we never realized before that it's not just a symbol of a shepherd, like somebody who got the flock, and that's what the sheep kind of recognize. You know, they recognize that sign, so when they see that, they know that's their master. No, it's a symbol of protection of the weak. So if anyone comes before you in any kind of way to say that they are a servant of the Most High, a litmus test would be protection of the weak, protection of defending of the poor, even if that means helping them to move out of their poverty mind state. But that's a whole other question. That's a whole other conversation. So, in terms of stewardship of the land, I'm taking all of that information and I'm going back to somebody who we've discussed many times in the last month, and we'll continue to discuss him because as far as I'm concerned, he's like one of our patron saints of agriculture, and not just Roscoe saying that, George Washington Carver. And I want to read something to you that George Washington Carver was written by Booker T. Washington. Just to emphasize, because not only was he somebody who exemplified this whole question of being a proper shepherd and a steward, right? In terms of his character. We know he was a really meek man. George Washington Carver told us that anything will give up its secrets to you if you love it enough. Just think about that as you come to the SHAMBA this afternoon and get your seedlings that we have available so that you can plant your food. Think about that as you get ready to plant your garden. George Washington Carver said, anything will give up its secrets to you if you love it enough. So that means one of the most fundamental principles of agriculture, of proper agriculture, of effective agriculture, is love. Active love, loving the soil, loving the plants. Anything, Dr. Carver said, anything will give up its secrets to you if you love it enough. Think about that for a minute. Because we ain't talking about just a smile, right? We ain't talking about just a smile, obviously. We're not talking about just a good deed, because a lot of times good deeds may be done in an egoic way, you know? I'm just going to do this good deed and take this picture for the Instagram so everybody can see that I'm feeding the homeless or I'm taking care of the poor. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about genuine love. Anything will give up its secrets to you if you love it enough. George Washington Carver said that. So this same Dr. Carver, he didn't just stop at the symbol of meekness and the symbol of love and the symbol of compassion and being a good steward. He showed us in practical terms some very key ways in how we can be stewards of our land. And at SHAMBA Cultivating Ground, like we said from the beginning, if we're here to dispel myths, we're here also to show the alternative. We're not here to be complainers as much as we are here to be exemplars of the new way. The only proper way to really deal with something, if you see something as a problem or an imbalance, is to create a solution for it. So that's the only reason we mention any of those things. That's the only reason we mention the old Western mentality to get put on the cross and all that. The Western mentality of stewardship and being a shepherd, that means you're the big boss, and that means you dominating instead of being, as Haile Selassie is called, as the king of Israel, just like Christ, with that shepherd, with that flail in his hand. It's called the head cook and bottle washer. Think about that for a minute. Somebody who, on one level, you could say got all these servants and all this kind of thing because a rich man and inherited one of the most prominent kingdoms in the world, but is known as the head cook and bottle washer. The leader, the shepherd, is the servant. And there is nowhere where we can see this exemplified more in a proper way for our benefit than in the soil. That's why Big Ag has failed. Because Big Ag has taught us that this earth is a factory. Big Ag has told us that this earth is not our mama, our factory. That we're just to take from, and never give back to. So therefore we have food that is completely depleted of nutrition. We have food that, imagine somebody being a vegetarian all their life, but they still catching cancer and all these things. Now, of course, there's an emotional, there's a spiritual root to that, of course. We know we don't want to skip over that. To any kind of imbalance and disorder, there's a spiritual root, right? We can agree on that. Even if you don't completely agree, let's just agree to consider that premise, and then you, in your own way, can do your own research on that. For every imbalance, there's a spiritual root. Peace and blessings, y'all. Like and share the video and let them know we're here. We're here still until 1 o'clock. This is Enlightened Atlanta, your online shopping experience. We're inside the OU Marketplace at SHAMBA Cultivating Ground. And can y'all feel the sunshine? I feel the glow in my heart, and I see it reflected outside, in the sky and in the whole atmosphere. I'm seeing butterflies in the garden. I'm seeing all kind of flowers that you can come and take part in or partake in right here at the OU Marketplace, right outside as well on the farm. I'm seeing all this beauty, and I'm realizing that this is another reflection of the grace of our Creator. So we give thanks and praises, We give thanks and praises. So please like and share the video. And what you're doing by liking and sharing the video, especially by sharing it, is sharing some knowledge, sharing a gift, sharing wisdom, right? Sharing the opportunity to upgrade in a real way. So when we think about Dr. Carver, he didn't just remind us of the importance of being meek. And again, that's such a profound statement. Anything will give up its secrets to you if you love it enough. Right? And again, if we're looking at the prototype of shepherd, being a good shepherd, we think of a man who gave up his life, who dropped his body tomorrow. What? This would be like almost 50 years ago. 1968, Dr. Martin Luther King. Guess what he was doing when he was assassinated? Y'all know what he was up to. He stopped what he was doing to go to Memphis for a minute. But he was involved in the Poor People's Campaign. He was involved in the Poor People's Campaign. And I want y'all to look up. I don't have time to share it with you and the means to share it with you right now, but look up Dr. Martin Luther King speaking about land. This is all connected. It's all one. When we're here to prayerfully demonstrate a connection of the dots. Look at Martin Luther King talking about land. He said he gave a whole history of how the imbalances happen in the Western world, especially as it relates to African people. How they created land grant colleges and gave and undergirded their white peasants with all kind of information and all kind of resources to invigorate their land and their farms, and how these are the same people telling black people they got to pull themselves up by their own bootstrap. Dr. King said that. But following that prototype of the proper shepherd, of the proper steward, he was a defender of the meek. He was a defender of the poor, right? One of the things about farming, one of the things about gardening is that let me tell you, I didn't sleep too well, even though there was a peace, there was a kind of what's the word I want to use? There was a peace, a peace and a knowing that all would be well. But when was that? Where was it? This is Saturday, so Thursday night, there was a frost that was expected, right? Yes, Yokishi was talking about economic growth for our people. Fannie Lou Hamer, the Freedom Farm. This is our heritage, right? But there was a peace that was with me Thursday night as I went to rest, but I still woke up kind of early, and I was looking at the temperature because we expected a frost, and that would have been something that could have been devastating for many of the farms here locally because we had already planted a whole lot of stuff, right? And my point is that one of the terms, one of the biblical terms for farmers in the Bible, that's redundant, right? One of the biblical terms for farmers is husbandman. Farmers are considered husbandmen. Why? Because the essence of a husband is one that is attentive. The essence of a husband, that's something that we all strive for in our manhood if we are involved in a relationship. And I'm not talking about the Roman essence of a marriage, right? But the essence of a husband is one that is present and attentive. So how does that relate to being a shepherd? Taking care of the vulnerable. Taking care of the vulnerable. So that's why I didn't sleep that much on Thursday night, because in my mind, I was thinking about all these babies out here that we already put in the ground and praying that they would be able to be sustained through that frost. But, we give thanks for the mercy that exists from our Creator in so many ways. And that mercy came through in terms of us not getting a frost. And so my peppers and the tomatoes and all that kind of stuff, they still doing good, right? But when we talk about George Washington Carver and stewardship of the land, another thing that he said to us and made very clear to us was that we should go out into the swamps. We shared this last week when we were here talking with Baba Rashid. Go out into the swamps and get all of that old muck that has fallen throughout the season, is now decomposing, and pull it out and till your soil, spread it over your land and till your soil with that. Dr. Carver said, rotate the crops. Yes, that frost will come again. So, we still may have a frost, but the thing about farming in this time, one of the things, I'm glad you mentioned that. One of the things, we'll get back to Dr. Carver in a minute, but I'm also interacting live with you all, so I wanted to make sure we stay present with your commentary. One of the things about farming in this time is that we got to be flexible. One of the things about farming in this time is that it requires us to be on our toes. It requires us to be on our P's and Q's. What do I mean by that? In a practical, we already talked about being present, being mindful. So it's difficult for a farmer to take a vacation. Most farmers I know, they don't go on long vacations. Why? Because you're always thinking about them, baby. You're always thinking about the care that is needed. That's why farmers are called husbandmen of the land. Look it up. I'm not making this up. Most of the biblical language, the Old Testament language, is agricultural language. Right? And straight up, husbandmen husbandry, land husbandry. That's where that comes from, right? That means taking care of those who depend on us because they are not able to take care of themselves. Now, the beautiful thing about it, one thing leads to another in the conversation. Queen Yen was talking about dandelion and yellow dock and all that, and those are things that are available right now. You know, the thing about it is spring cleaning is not just something that somebody made up as something that can be commercialized, right? Spring cleaning is something that is a reflection of the universal reality. So what do we have happening right now in the land? We got clover coming up. We got red clover. We got wild geranium. We got yellow dock. We got dandelion. We got burdock. We got speedwell or stillwell. We do actually have a little bit of burdock here. We do actually have a little bit of burdock. But I wasn't just speaking about SHAMBA, cultivating ground. I was just saying like this is what's happening. But you see all of that here at the SHAMBA, right? But we do have a little bit of burdock here as well. And if you come today, prayerfully we can take a walk and I can show you some of that. But that's spring cleaning. That's spring cleaning happening right now. So that's that. So we got to acknowledge that because our Creator, known by many names and many natures, has absolutely provided us without our hands at all. But for the food, the domesticated food, like the broccoli and the carrots and the kale and the cabbage and the green onions and the lettuce and all this, the domesticated food, it needs our care. It needs our care. And guess what? That's what the care is. That's what the care, that's who the caretakers are, the husbandmen of the land and women. But I just feel that is a very significant reference, you know, because life is a farm. And when we're talking about our agricultural reality, we're not just talking about growing vegetables and all this thing. We're talking about straight up family life. Y'all remember about a month and a half ago, we were talking about family planning. We weren't talking about husband and wife getting together and seeing how they can copulate or procreate. We were talking about how we're going to get our garden plan together and having the collards and the tall foods like the okra and everything, putting them in a place where they can grow naturally and actually get the sun that they need and also give some shade to the crops that need a little shade. But to put all that in a nutshell, absolutely, our crops need our care. Our crops need our care, right? And so straight up, what we're here to do is to provide the needs. Why would we plant a seed that we don't intend on taking care of? That's a question. That's a question for all the sisters and the brothers, and that's a question for the brothers in terms of humanity, right? In terms of our human reality, in terms of our families. Why would we plant a seed that we don't intend on taking care of? See? So we are giving thanks for the reality of life being a farm. And matter of fact, shameless plug, that's my t-shirt I'm wearing today. And we got that merch right here at the OU Marketplace right behind me. All the Cultivate vibes, all the Life is a Farm vibes, all the plant harvest water, or plant water, cultivate, harvest, repeat, all of that. So we're grateful for that reality. We're grateful to be able to create an economy, a currency based on what we love and what we know to be reality instead of trying to make something up as a hustle. We ain't hustling no more. We're aligning. We're aligning with our beautiful reality. And it's something that brings tears of joy to my eyes, honestly, and a full heart, because this is a favor of our Lord that we would never deny. So again, shepherds, stewards are shepherds, and shepherds in the indigenous sense does not mean domination. It means taken care of, right? So I want to give away, because it's always better to give than to receive. So for somebody who's going to come through today, if you're not coming through, don't even bother answering the question. But somebody who's going to come through with your family or by yourself to the OU Marketplace, I want to give away one of these t-shirts. And for the first person who's able to answer in the comments, when we talked about the fact that when we talked about the crook and the flail. There's actually a comedic term for that as well. Let me see if I can find it real quick. For the crook and the flail. I don't see it right now. I don't want to take off the thing. But regardless, for someone who was paying attention, we know that this is a sign of a shepherd. But what also is that a sign of, other than just being a shepherd, meaning somebody who gathering the flock? The crook and the flail. We just mentioned that a couple times. Whether we referring to Yeshua the Christ, some say Jesus, Isa, peace be upon him. Or if we're talking about the pharaohs of Kemet, we showed you the picture. Let me show you the picture again. I know y'all seen this picture. No dig on our family who be coming through and bearing witness, right? But the Jehovah's Witness, if you ever had a Jehovah's Witness come to your house, you've seen this picture. I don't like to share you this picture right here, but I couldn't find one of the black Jesus, so it is what it is. But the point is, the symbol in his hand as a shepherd, the crook, right? And some might say that, well, Jesus, I don't want to get into semantics with y'all today, but that word that may be talking about a white man, right? So there's this, and there's this. The crook and the flail. So my question is, for this Life is a Farm t-shirt, what does that represent other than just being a shepherd? What does that represent other than just being a shepherd? There's a very specific principle that it represents. There's a very specific principle that it represents. Right? So it means not just being a shepherd, but it represents something that is a principle that, I'll give you a hint. It's a principle that was exemplified by somebody who was absolutely a disciple of Jesus the Christ, who is Martin Luther King Jr. And we talked about him. It was exemplified by him. I'll give you a hint. That's the hint. Okay, what is that? What is that? So as we move, and for those of y'all, you can, if you got the answer, then shoot the answer. I want to reflect again on George Washington Carver, and I want to read this very profound piece of a letter that Booker T. Washington sent to Nana Carver. In 1896, this is what Booker T. Washington said to Dr. George Washington Carver. At that time, Booker T. was a well-known educator, and Carver was also well-known. Carver had already achieved a lot of fame working up north. But he said, and this letter was written in 1896, the year that the Battle of Ottawa took place. Speaking of Christ, when the Italians came looking for the Christ child of that time, who was born in 1892. Do your research. Do your research, and let's talk about it. But in 1896, Dr. Carver was written to by Booker T. Washington, and he said, Tuskegee Institute seeks to provide education, a means of survival to those that attend. Our students are poor, often starving. They travel miles of torn roads across years of poverty. We teach them to read and write, but words cannot fill stomachs. They need to learn how to plant and harvest crops. This is what Booker T. Washington said to our ancestor, George Washington Carver. The screen thing keeps going out. I cannot offer you money, position, or fame. The first two you have. The last, from the place you now occupy, you will no doubt achieve. These things I now ask you to give up. I offer you in their place work, hard work, the challenge of bringing people from degradation, poverty, and waste to full manhood. Ashe. I'm going to read that again because that's that gives me chills. And the reason it gives me chills is because we know what came of that reality. This man accepted the position and taught us how to farm, and we are moving based on his legacy right now, today, at SHAMBA ATL. That's what I'm saying to you. Again, Booker T. Washington to Nana George Washington Carver. We have a few minutes left, and we have a beautiful day unfolding. We got our Baba Shola, our brother, the head of Yeye Botanica, and before any of that, Baba Lao, a drummer, a servant of our people, and a great, excellent jewelry maker too. He'll be coming around 1:30 to do some drumming, because as the spring is awakening, and we just came off another frost, and as the earth is awakening, the earth is always awake. Let me just clarify that language. But as the earth is showing her blossoms in the spring, we just talked about the dandelion and the yellow dock and the geranium and the, I'm looking right at it, lemon balm and all kind of mints that have come up already. And these are foods that you can eat raw. As Ramadan is approaching for the Islamic world, a lot of people are considering doing live foods for the Ramadan instead of just fasting all day then pigging out on macaroni and cheese. Muslims don't eat pig, but it might as well be pigging out, right? And just completely messing up your fast. But that's another conversation for another day. The whole point is the earth is showing her yield. These are the first fruits. So today our brother Baba Shola will be doing the appropriate thing, and he will be our first musical guest for this season. As y'all know, for Family Wellness Saturdays, what we do is we have a lot of musicians come through. We have musicians come through to play their music. We have DJs, because DJs are vinyl musicians. Big up Abba Shaka, the head rocker, who always reminded us of that, right? Bless up yourself, all of y'all joining us. Continue to share the video, and even after we go off the live, you can check out Queen Yen's page. You can check out this SHAMBA ATL page, and we will have the video in our archives, right? But Baba Shola will be here about 1:30 playing some music, and I'm looking forward to that. I also want to big up the Empress Men in Atlanta Conference. You gonna come back on? Yeah, no, I'm not. What just happened?
The internet.
Okay, but the Empress Men in Atlanta Conference is going on, and I'll be actually giving a presentation. I'll be out on the SHAMBA giving a presentation, a little 15 minutes about sustainability. But just to let you know, we're here all day, and we're really excited. Mama Jerry's Cakes is here. You know what I'm saying? I know for me, again, reflecting on this season, and that's the thing I love about African people. It's only in the West that we were taught to just have so much disdain for ourselves that if we get a new piece of knowledge, we just throw the baby away with the bathwater. In Guyana, Rasta man playing music on Christmas Day. It's the same thing with Easter. Right now in my village in Guyana, people is going up to the seawall to fly kites, because that's a symbolism of, they go actually, it won't be today, it'll be tomorrow, on Easter Sunday, because that's a symbol of the resurrection. But it's people that are doing it that ain't Christian, right? And so in this dispensation, we're grateful for OU Ministries, and I want to say that not just because Queen Yen is our business partner, we're here at the SHAMBA, but just as someone who has actually been a beneficiary of those teachings, the connecting of the dots, right? That we're here to connect the dots. This is part of the Sankofa mission. We're not here to divide and rule anymore. We're here to connect the dots and to see the universal truth in all of it, right? So let me read this again as we get ready to close. I see none of y'all answered the question, but it's all good. You can still come through and get a t-shirt. It just won't be for free. Well, you can share that they have the Kite Festival in Jamaica too. Indeed. Sugar Honey Nectar. I don't know if you're in town, Sugar Honey Nectar, but if you're not, please visit us here in ATL soon. You're always welcome. Again, 1896, Booker T. Washington told Carver, Tuskegee Institute seeks to provide education, a means of survival to those who attend. Our students are poor, often starving. They travel miles of torn roads across years of poverty. We teach them to read and write, but words cannot fill stomachs. That's like the African proverb that say, fine words do not produce food. They need to learn how to plant and harvest crops. I cannot offer you money, position, or fame. The first two you have, the last from the place you now occupy, you will no doubt achieve. These things I now ask you to give up. I offer you in their place work, hard work. Hard work. The challenge of bringing people from degradation, poverty, and waste to full manhood. And we give thanks that Dr. George Washington Carver accepted the challenge, he accepted the invitation, and our story bear witness to that. And to this day, we are, again, beneficiaries of his legacy. So it's real deep, indeed. So as we get ready to seal up, I don't know if y'all have any questions specifically about the farm, but as I said, what we have today at the marketplace, we have fresh collard greens, kale, turnips, and turnip greens. We have the vegetable flowers, the flowers from the flowering vegetables, because the vegetables are confused because they went from 40 degrees to 80 degrees, and so they're like, oh, must be springtime, must be summertime, must be time for me to be done. But what happens is, this is another example of what we're talking about, the beneficent mother. What happens is the mother gives all her energy to her offspring. So where are the offspring? The offspring are in those flowers, the seeds. So you can come and get them, and they're here in bouquets, and we have them for you at the marketplace. You can go home and eat them, or you can save the seeds and plant them, right? We also have fresh jelly coconut, courtesy of Jelly Ras. We have local honey, which is good for the, very good to help to offset the allergies. We have, of course, sea moss. We got sea moss prepared as well as raw sea moss, that you can prepare yourself. All kind of, I know I'm missing all kind of stuff, but it is, just come through. And if you can check out our Instagram page, we already posted what we have on the page, right? Oh, the term is Heka, H-E-K-A. We have the term is Heka. Yes, Yo Keish, we are absolutely beneficiaries of his legacy. And the term for the staff that Jesus carried, and the staff that the pharaohs carried, the Heka staff. And since nobody answered the question, I'm gonna go ahead and tell y'all what the answer is. That is a symbol of one of the first priorities of that leadership, of that shepherdhood, is to defend the poor. Anyone who tell you they're a servant of God, that is a litmus test. And again, like I said, that don't mean necessarily celebrating poverty. Defending the poor also means helping the poor to get rid of the poor mind state. When we're talking about defense of the meek, defendant of the weak amongst us. And that relates to the soil, as we said, because these plants that we plant, not the ones that were just grown on their own, like the dandelion and the yellow dock and the burdock and all of those natural wild herbs, but the domesticated plants that we plant, they need our assistance. That's again why farmers are called husbandmen, because one of the key elements of being a good husband is to be attentive, right? It's to be present. It's to be attentive. It's to be aware of the needs of those in your sphere of influence and to nurture what it is that they need as much as you possibly can. So you see how it goes full circle. You see how the spiritual language straight up comes into the agricultural language. You see how the broccoli is related to the Bible. It's all one. And we're not talking about the Bible as a tool of domination that's been used by Rome. We're talking about a book of life that has metaphysical connotations that go deep within. And that's for any other book as well. Yes, defend the poor. Defend the poor. And the man who exemplified that, again, we honor his birthday or his reborn day, which is tomorrow. Dr. Martin Luther King. And speaking of birthday, I want to big up my Baba as well. Tomorrow, April 4th, is his birthday. He will be 96. He was born the same year as Dr. King. Right? He will be 96 by the grace of the Creator. And today, one of the reasons I'm so hyped, other than just the fact that we just got life, is that this is my birth month myself. This is my birthday month, and today I want to also honor, in terms of my personal heirloom culture, my parents, whose anniversary is today. Mama is an ancestor now, but all of this is what has made me who I am, and she planted in me the essence of farming. She lit that spark in my stomach, and that fire will never go out, So thank you, Mama, for the 9 months you carried me through. And happy anniversary to them and anybody else who's celebrating a milestone in their life that represents the propagation of more life, right? So as we seal up, we give thanks and praise unto the Most High, known by many names and many natures. I want to let you know that the author of this book, Leah Penningman, will be with us here at the SHAMBA on Monday. She won't be physically here on Monday, but Farming While Black will be having her as a guest on SHAMBA Reasoning, along with Queen Yen, and talking about the straight up resurrection of the human spirit. This book right here, man, I can't tell you enough about this book. But she will be here. Sister Leah Penningman will be here with us on SHAMBA Reasoning, so you can check that out on the SHAMBA IG. And I just want to read something in closing, because we talked about Dr. Carver giving us that legacy, the true legacy of a shepherd, defending the poor, and not just defending the poor, but nurturing the poor back to health. Don't forget about that part. Nurturing the poor back to health, including the poor soil, including the soil that was degraded, that was taken advantage of by our Western greedy mentality of just take. Cotton is king. And to this day, cotton is still one of the most expensive commodity, even more expensive than oil, to this day. To this very day. Cotton is still king, as they say, right? But Dr. Carver not only helped the poor, as Booker T. Washington spoke to him about the students of Tuskegee who walk miles and miles of torn roads in poverty and sometimes are starving, and they can learn reading and writing, but they need to learn how to plant for themselves. He also nurtured the poor land, the land that was raped. And we don't use that word lightly. The land that was violated. He helped us to regenerate this land. Ashe. So, from chapter 5, Feeding the Soil. Something slow moves through him, watched by hills. Something low within each rock receives his noonday wish, then crumbles rich, so fills each furrow that the prairie year upheaves. His arm has lain with boulders, his copper hand has mused on roots, uncaring of barbed wire. His fist has closed on thistle and dug the land. For corn October snows have whelmed entire. Sometimes flows within him in stubborn streams, and in the parted foliage something lives, an upright green stirred by the rhythmic gleams of his hoe and spade. From worn out arms he gives, the earth receives, turns all his pain to soil, where he believes and testifies through toil. And that is by James E. Emanuel, a poem called For a Farmer. So show some love to the farmers in your life. Show some love to the gardeners in your life, especially yourself, because guess what? You, talking to you right now, you are a farmer. That's your nature. Whether or not you want to take that up as a full-time vocation, I'm telling you that by nature, we are farmers. So as we say, we're showing love to the farmers in our life, show love to yourself. Look yourself in the mirror and remind yourself that you are a perfect idea in the mind of God, the Almighty, known by many names and many natures. So may peace be within our walls and prosperity in our palaces. We're here until 5 p.m. today at the SHAMBA Cultivating Ground. Inside, we got all kind of healthy snacks. We got kale salad, Habiba's famous kale salad, as well as carrot tuna. We got the straight up Ital soup bubbling. We got Mama Jerry's cakes, and outside we got all kind of fresh produce. Like I said, we got sea moss now available in the prepared version as well as in the raw version that you can get for yourself. All kind of goodies. See? This tonic in my hand, by the way, this is going to be available soon as well. Trouble boy, trouble. And we got all kind of, I forgot about the roots tonic that is now back in stock. Just like the coconut water. Coconut water, one of the benefits of coconut water is iron. Right? So a lot of sisters and brothers, but especially the brothers, use it for strengthening of the male reproductive system. Give you a pulse like steel, you know what I mean? Service, sacred service. Starts with pulse like steel is what it give you. Are they? Since you asked, I repeat myself. Pulse like steel. And roots. The roots coming from our brother Jelly Rise, the same one who ships the coconut. As I've told y'all before, we don't sell anything here as produce that is not regionally grown. My man, I know you know about that pulse like steel, right? Come on and get some. We don't sell anything that's not locally grown. And the reason for that, we can get some exotic foods from all over the world, but we are here to demonstrate the reality that not only life is a farm, but our Creator has given us all that we need in our local environment. So we don't need to go to China or Chile or Argentina or South Africa for some exotic grapes, right? So big up yourself, bless up yourself, all my relations. Peace be within our walls and prosperity in our palaces. For my brethren and sisters' sake, I will now say peace. Assalamu alaikum.